In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? So when we started to look at different genres, we were drawn to horror kind of slash thriller. So many takes have been made of horror slash thriller films, kind of ranging from the overused plots and stereotypical music. And the advantage of a range of horror slash thriller films that have been created, there are like lots of obvious conventions, so the audience can kind of easily identify the genre of the film. However, the overuse of stereotypical conventions leads to a kind of a reused, unoriginal plot. We believed we were going to go down the horror slash thriller route, and we wanted to kind of subvert the original kind of stereotypical, allowing the audience to kind of know what conventions they were going to see and the theme of it. But we wanted to kind of intensify their experience by creating like jump scares and things they wouldn't expect to see naturally. We decided to go down the horror route as we have so many kind of connotations to work with and conventions, so the audience focus would be on the plot rather than the genre of the film. Our location, we kind of wanted to take kind of the typical teenage horror film, so a simple plain backdrop we used, not to take away from the action. Kind of whitewashed walls, which also kind of contrast in the last scene with the blood-covered face. We took inspiration from the Scream films. Example, Scream 4, the opening sequence starts off in a house, and it's also similar to ours. It's quite plain, quite boring, so you kind of focus on the action. Also, Smiley and The Ring, they're also quite like teenage kind of horror-based, simple kind of home backdrop. With costume, we wanted to create like a stereotypical feel for both the girl and the boy, so we kind of had typical colours, for example like the reds, the trackies and kind of the white at the top, kind of innocence, and also the contrast again, but they're quite feminine girly colours. And for the boy we had kind of darker blues and blacks. This again didn't draw away from the action, and also as they're not the overall main characters in our feature, because they're going to be killed off quite early, the audience doesn't make a massive connection with them, so it's not that. You don't get introduced to them that much. Iconography, it's kind of like lighting, props used, and the colours. So we kind of, for the more gory scenes, we went with kind of darker colours, a black with some red, and again kind of the stereotypical backdrop of kind of light cream colours kind of gave the contrast. Props, obviously technology, because technology kind of is the main thing within our piece. So it's only really the laptop prop and the mask, which kind of emphasises what's going to happen later on in the sequence, and then kind of the theme of this kind of serial killer going around people. We kind of hear about these stories kind of pretty much every kind of day about murders and stuff. Like one of the things our piece concerns. Yeah, kind of the mask creates a supernatural feel, kind of but it's subverted into the reality, which is the idea of technology uses, and it kind of distorts space and the shadows, kind of foreshadowing what happens to the girl. And we use a lot of jump scares, and we have a creepy plot which emphasises the genre horror and thriller.
We really like the sound effects from Smiley, and it's sort of eerie. We managed to find a royalty-free website, and got some really nice eerie music on there which fitted the film really well. So when we built up towards the mask jump scare and the ending jump scare, which worked really well, the eerie music, it did. The wind sound effects are great as well. They created tension. What is going on behind the scenes? Well, I suppose the mask shot was the quickest shot, to be fair. It was the quickest shot, which like sort of made an impact towards the audience, and we made a few weird angled shots, you know, like the tilted ones. The beginning shot was the best because it set the scene nicely. It was the wide angle of the house which set the scene where it is. Yeah, it's very establishing, it is. Very establishing. Timing's really important when it comes to jump scares. So if you get the timing wrong, you know, then people are not going to get scared, you know. We need the timing right, and continuity editing really worked out for that, so yes. Well, we created a few shadows and stuff, so shadows came across quite creepy in a way. I suppose this is like the lighting. We made it bright, but we sort of used editing to tone it down, I suppose, and use more a bluey, purpley colour to create a little horror colour. Because if it was yellow and that, then it wouldn't be scary. So it was a jump scare. Something just hit my hand.
You know, I thought we added in some good shots, some cool editing. That was different, you know. We made our own website, which I have not seen in many horror films. When you look at other successful films like Scream and stuff like that, they use the same kind of concept. and they're successful. And I thought that the way that, like, you know, there's the man walking up, obviously she's an innocent young girl, but then no one, because then the mask comes and you think it's going to be the guy that's going to be the murderer, but you know, it's not. It makes it more interesting to watch, which is good for us, because, you know, we want the people watching it, don't we? We use blood, we use like horror masks to, you know, add in that little bit of scare and tension, that kind of stereotypical horror film, because everyone wants to watch a stereotypical horror film, don't they? We made it our own, you know, and that's why people wanted to watch it. The jump scare did bring them in, and I think we used a lot of jump scares in the short space of time, which made the film interesting, where like these other horror films, it's like a natural progression to like a big jump scare, like a final one, maybe like 3, but we fit 3 into like 2 minutes, which made ours quite different from the other horror films. It was very high energy, intensive. I mean, when we were coming up with the idea, we looked into kind of fairs such as like the social networking world, like how you hear all these stories on the news about people like getting to know someone over the internet, but and then coming to meet them but getting killed. It happens all the time. So we thought it'd be like appropriate and to put this in our film. It kind of sends out a message as well, doesn't it? A message to the youth, being like, you know what, don't do that. A big influence was Smiley, the way that he uses kind of the same concepts of us, but no, we washed it up, we changed it, made it our own. Strangers kind of like, you have no idea who it is, there's a big mystery, and then it goes into it, because our film was like, you don't know who the main murderer is until the end, where at The Strangers it's like an hour in, and then you realise that the people who's been like, you know, messing around in the house was
So before we came up with the title, we had already decided upon the plot, so we associated the last scene of someone in bed and started to think about nursery rhymes and quotes associated with bedtime. Stop making me laugh. Taking a slightly ironic twist on the phrase "sleep tight" is normally associated with children's bedtime. It allowed us to create a creepy atmosphere relating to our genre, which is horror/thriller. For our titles, we kind of used this kind of scratchy, white, kind of moving writing, kind of dulled down a bit by the background it's on. We decided to put our titles on a black background so they'd stand out and not detract from the action within the scene. It's different because it kind of goes with our production company as well. You kind of got this scratchy kind of writing, which is all kind of, it's marketing for our company as well as the film itself. And previous films that we've made could be related to this one through the writing. Myself and my group, we looked at the opening sequence of the film 7, which was quite similar in the way kind of the writing was kind of jotting about the screen, kind of quite scratchy, and kind of the stark white contrast quite nicely with the colours. From our storyboard, we had to cut it shorter as it ran over 2 minutes. We decided to cut out the opening, kind of this, it was quite stereotypical, kind of this guy getting out of the car. We decided to crop that out completely, and we just had the two talking on the sofa with the laptop, again showing kind of one of the main themes of new technology, kind of facing kind of the death of this girl. Juxtaposition of the blood with the new technology is kind of the two issues faced in our thing. Juxtaposing them creates kind of the ambiguity of the murderer and the main themes within our sequence. Yeah, that's it.
Good.